Yeah, I'm Huples Cat. We have made it. We have got to the very end of this book. Silco and Cowan's Dark Secrets. So what do you think the last chapter would be? It's actually on preparedness. And it's only 34 pages. I would have probably put this chapter first, and I'd have had it ongoing throughout the book, and I would also cover it last. I think basic preparedness is overlooked, especially by people who believe they're preppers. You can always learn something. It's not just about buying stuff and storing it. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do. They state on page 351 that survivalism and preparedness are both vital when faced with an ongoing SHTF. They have no artificial separation here. Unlike some, Selko and Gowan, specified preparedness also means dealing with pre-existing disease and or age. They cover children and prepping in about one page. Basically the message is go camping with young kids, but they miss the basic message I would give to people with children, both young and small children. Go camping with them, often. I agree with them children aren't good at keeping secrets, and I wouldn't actually talk to them about prepping and stockpiling unless they wanted to, and I'd be very careful. Remember, a lot of us preppers like to talk about prepping, and we probably shouldn't be. It's also worth noting that some adults are not either. Practice good OPSEC or expect guests in SHTF. I do believe you should train children so they automatically react correctly in crisis. Evacuating the house in the event of a fire. That's a simple one. It should be done. People die every year in house fires and children die. For me, I would also be training the adults around me as well. My kiddie is now way more able to deal with crisis than she was 10 years ago. And so am I. You should be practicing good communications with your children, and you should be aware and friendly to all of the adults in their schools and activities. You should be a trusted adult. Otherwise, you shouldn't be having kids. To this section I would also add that once a child can walk in SHTF, if it's a societal collapse, they will have jobs and work to do for hours a day. There will be no passengers in SHTF. There will be no bored children. There will be an awful lot of us hungry. They devote less than 3 pages to stockpiling, starting on page 353. This section is full of good ideas. I really like the decoy storages and locations. If your neighbours raid you, let them get nothing or old stuff. Now they do talk about possibly poisoning your stockpiles to deter raiders. However, that's not something I want to go into, but I will point out that dead raiders are a hygiene, not a security issue in SHTF. Lots of cheap Bics is a great idea, way cheaper than Zippo type lighters. I would argue possibly have both, but remember Zippo lighters are going to require fuel and they dry out quite quickly. They then give very detailed stockpiling lists. If your home is your bug out location, and that's absolutely fine, make sure stockpiles are small, movable by hand and hidden everywhere. If you lose the home and the bug out location, you shouldn't lose all of your supplies. You really don't want to be in that position, whether you bug out or you bug in. Starting on page 358, they devote quite a lot of pages to food. They cover most of them, and it's a good section, and it's worth reading. There is a few things I don't agree with. I absolutely agree that the sustainability of your food intake is going to be absolutely critical if the society around you has fallen and doesn't get back up again. They don't really mention sprouting seeds and jars initially. I say make that actually the priority thing. Before you buy anything else, buy sprouting seeds and sprouting jars and practice. However, they do mention having sprouting jars on page 360 as an essential equipment to store. Totally agree. They do cover rotating food stocks very well. What I don't agree with is they say use dry products like boxed cereal, crackers, cookies, dried milk or dried fruit within 6 months. If you follow that advice, you will only have 6 months of those items available. In those categories, I've eaten foods that have been expired by 1 to 4 years past their best by date. On page 359 they do mention storing wheat grains. I actually agree with that. It's a bit of a hole in my own prepping to be honest, but I do have a couple of grain mills. Olive oil for cooking? Actually no, you don't want to heat olive oil. It's good cold but never heat it. What you need is avocado oil or similar, and what you really should be stockpiling is this one, extra virgin coconut oil. This stuff lasts forever. Fats is going to be absolutely critical in a long duration event, absolutely critical. And just having a large amount of coconut oil that's in glass bottles and is extra virgin is actually going to get you way over the hump compared to everybody around you. Like everything else you store, if the disaster happens, eat sparingly, ration, lose your weight. On page 361 they do say you can buy prepared foods for preppers or you can buy your own and store it. Don't agree with that. I've yet to find nutritionally good, cheap, prepared food that's specifically designed for preppers or long-term storage. It's really bad food and highly expensive. What you actually want to do is go to grocery stores and go to hiking and camping stores and buy stuff there. And I'll show you what I mean. This box is for hiking and camping, not for preparedness. Chickpea korma, Mexican style rice, brown rice and lentils, brown and red rice, ancient grains. Basmati because you just have to have some type of white rice if you're a pepper, eh? What about spinach dal? Absolutely brilliant. All you have to do is warm it up, and you can do that by using fire or putting it next to your body for a few hours. Great food, and you can spread it over white rice. Get yourself quite a few meals out of one packet. Al matar, potatoes with curry sauce. Of course, you can get hiking stuff. It's way more expensive. It's not quite as nutritionally good. Use the grocery store. Chili fiesta. I hope I've made my point. Even if you're spending quite a bit of money buying prepared grocery store foods, it's still way cheaper than buying anything from the preparedness or camping sections. And I guarantee it's nutritionally better. All of mine's actually vegan. There's a lot of varieties if you want to eat meat and dairy. This kind of thing takes quite a bit of preparation, about 20 minutes, but it's delicious. In ongoing disaster, you don't want to have the same food day after day. But if you're eating Bombay potatoes day after day, I don't think you'll get that sick of them. These are delicious and really, really cheap. Starting on page 363, they tell you how much food you actually should store per adult for a year. The amount of food they're telling you to store is absolutely incredible. You won't be mobile around your food stores. You're stuck where you are with your food stores if you have this much food. I don't think you necessarily need this much food, but you definitely need certain parts of it. So for me, I don't store any milk or dairy or eggs because I'm vegan. What they've come up with, which is what most people come up with, is 600 pounds of food per adult per year. Now I know some of my viewers are Americans and basic mathematics might escape them, but they're talking about 2 pounds of weight of food per day per adult. I'm not convinced. In an ongoing disaster, what you really want to do is replace most of that 2 pounds of food with food you've grown or have foraged as soon as you possibly can. I'm specifically not mentioning hunting because I don't think it's going to work. The expiry date Selco and Cowan give you, I believe, is far too short. For example, this is a Cliff Bar. It's delicious. 3 to 6 of these per day is all you actually need to carry on a bug out. You don't need to be getting fancy on bug outs. But I've eaten these 5 years after their expiry date. And yeah, they get a bit stale, but they're still perfectly edible. Don't be wasting your money on protein bars. You don't need protein bars. You need stuff like this. Remember, if you're starting out, go slow. Get one of these a month or one of these a week. Start slow if you don't have much money. Be careful. Don't rush into things. And make sure you get variety. Silco on page 368 talks about eating expired food, and he talks about eating 30-year-old and Vietnamese cookies. Not altogether sure this is a good idea. Definitely wouldn't do it myself. But what would I do if I only had this barrels of Vietnamese cookies? Well, what I'd do with it, what I would do for all very expired foods that I come across. Boil and stir it. This includes cookies. Boil it, stir it for a couple of minutes. This will kill all the bacteria and neutralises most of the botulism. If you're starving and you eat this sort of stuff, getting the diarrhea from it is going to kill you. On page 370, he actually finally mentions sprouting. Sprouting is absolutely critical for me as a prepper. I think it's a brilliant thing, and I strongly advise you all to get into it. I think if you tell people to sprout seeds in a disaster, you have to tell people that tomato and potato seeds are poisonous. Use them to grow food, don't use them as sprouting seeds. But overall, sprouting seeds is a brilliant, nutritional, no cook, no smell, no outdoor method. It's absolutely critical. If your favourite online prepper doesn't go on about sprouting seeds at all in their content, ditch them. They know nothing. So they only devote about 4 pages to water, and I think that's inadequate. They talk about most of the common types of water storage. What you need to get yourself is a gravity water filter. LifeStraw Mission 12 like this, absolutely brilliant. You can get a smaller one in the LifeStraw Mission 5. You can also get gravity filters like the Berkey, which I have. Over an hour, this actually produces 9 to 12 litres of purified water, and it works that fast. It's easy, it's brilliant. This will purify 18,000 litres of water. If you're American, that's just under 4,800 gallons of water. Pretty useful tool. It was really nice to read this on page 374. Swimming pool or spa water should not be consumed, but you can use it for flushing toilets or washing. Absolutely brilliant. Far too many preppers online, especially in the hot and dry areas, will drink pool and hot tub water. They will, because they'll be absolutely gagging for fluids. I also don't recommend it. Over time, the chemicals in there are not going to be very healthy for you. To sterilise pool and spa water, the chemicals concentration is pretty high. What I recommend you do with your pools is to drain them or divert them for non-drinking, non-cooking use, and then refill them with rain catchment. Sure, you'll get some algae growing in there, maybe some frogs. Deal with it. Despite listing pretty much every single use item I can think of for heating and cooking, other than wood stoves, they do agree with me on page 377. Renewable is best. Make your first choice as renewable as possible, since your supplies will replenish themselves continually, and this will keep you alive the longest. Also increase your chance of survival by trying to always have a backup system in place in case your first choice fails. As I age pretty much every day now, I see the importance of general fitness. If you're not physically and mentally able to cope with the rigours of a full societal collapse, why are you prepping for it? I would argue there are three types of training for this: strength, endurance and flexibility. All three are critical. Far too many preppers online focus only on strength. This is a mistake. Muscles consume calories much more than fat. If you can't get enough calories, your muscles are soon going to become fairly useless to you in SHTF. You need to have good overall strength training, but huge bulky muscles, that's not going to help. Or maybe I'm just jealous. Starting on page 379, they actually specify types of disasters. This is covered extremely briefly. Again, if any of these disasters are likely in your area or unlikely but possible, study up on them. Know how to deal with things like floods. Don't just read a chapter like this and think you're okay. And while I'm on that, look locally and think worst case and prep for that. Don't be fooled into thinking human-caused climate change is not true. If you think that, prepare for it anyway. Same if you think nuclear war or invasion of your country could never happen. The future is an undiscovered country, and always a surprise. And that's it for me. If you can, buy this book and read it and make notes and maybe read it again. There is an online version of this course. I have not done it. The book itself offers you $150 off. If you want to do it, feel free to use book 50 as the code. I have no idea if it's still valid, so please don't complain to me if it isn't. I recommend this book highly. It covers a lot of the ground that was covered in the original book by Selco, but it does it in a much more comprehensive and organised way. Get yourself both. And that's it. These videos take a huge amount of work to put together. Aren't really that popular, but I did them because it actually makes me really think about what the content of these books. It makes me act. It makes me actually go and do things slightly differently based upon things I disagree with in these books, and especially with things I agree with. The freezing of oil in the freezer, that's a really good idea. Something I'd never really thought about before. I'm going to enact that one. So did you read it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments. Don't be fooled into thinking you can watch or listen or read a book and prepare yourself. All they're doing is giving you ideas, giving you thought processes. Some you'll like, some you won't like. I've read probably over 50, maybe 100 books on the prepping genre. Most of them are absolute garbage. I'm not even talking about the fictionalised ones that are really bad, like 1 Second After. They all give me something, if only annoying me. The next book review will be on this one. Do not buy it. Doodles. This has been a Tiny Cherry production 2025. With production assistance from Gracie Cat, who's now down to £16.5. Well done, Gracie, keep it up.